Let's bring in Kevin Green, senior markets correspondent, right away to help set up the action today. All right, KG, we're off to the races for the Bulls. It looks like, it was different than how I expected things to turn out yesterday. What's your thought?
Yeah, I would agree. If you're kind of looking at the performers to the upside, it was a lot more of the cyclical names that actually did catch a little bit of a bid here. Kind of that broadening out trade taking place with industrials and financials kind of leading the way. Also with consumer staples, Walmart had a phenomenal day yesterday. And I think that type of price action allows us to build at least a little bit of a foundation here when it comes to price. Now, Diane, I don't believe that volatility is over and done with for the month. I think we probably still have a little bit of headwinds. But the fact that we have the partial government shutdown, at least for now, is going to delay a lot of the government data, and that could also take volatility out of the market, similar to what we saw with the shutdown for last year as well. And we have some earnings, obviously Palantir, we'll talk about that here in a second here, that could actually bring this risk on trade in the market. You did see some buyers stepping into the gold trade, the silver trade as well. And so I think right now the market is trying to nibble at maybe some potential opportunities, at least in the near term, maybe getting in a little bit of a lower beta type of trade here that is having outsized returns compared to maybe some of the mega cap tech names. And I think we're still kind of focusing on what's next. And I think earnings is still going to be the primary focus. And then economic data probably takes a second or a third here just because of that government shutdown. So overall, it's actually a pretty decent day yesterday. A nice recovery from the lows over the overnight futures trading that we saw on Sunday as well.
Okay, so earnings in pole position. Let's get into it with those Palantir numbers. Those shares rallying more than 10% right now. Big quarter for the company. Take us through the details here.
Yeah, this was a really good quarter here. They reported revenue at $1.41 billion. Street was looking for $1.35 billion, and the adjusted earnings per share came in at 25 cents. Street was looking for 23 cents, but it's really their guidance moving forward here. Their Q1 revenue guide is between $1.53 billion and $1.536 billion here. Street was looking for $1.32 billion, so they beat there on the guide for next quarter, but the fiscal year 2026 outlook is really the surprising factor. They beat that revenue estimate by almost around $800 billion, close to $800 million, close to $1 billion for that beat. So at the end of the day, they are still seeing demand kind of ramping up, not only on the commercial side, but really what brought this stock over the top when you're looking at this report is the government contracts. Government revenue actually increased by 66% on a year-over-year basis. They continue to bring on large customers at a very fast pace, faster than the street's expectations. Their Rule of 40 metric, which is really looking at the revenue growth as well as EBITDA growth, continues to exceed the street's expectations. So you are seeing the stock up around 10%. I'm surprised it's not up a little bit more, but let's see what happens when the equity market does open. This is a name that does get a lot of attention on the options front. And if the stock is able to get to that 170 level and break above that, that's when we're going to see a massive short squeeze in this market, just based on the options positioning that we saw going into the close yesterday. So a really decent report. Hopefully this takes a little bit of pressure off of some of these other software companies that have been dragged down over the last 2 months.
All right, let's zoom out and talk the latest on the tariff front. U.S. and India, we got word yesterday initially on True Social that there is a deal there. Tell us the latest here.
Yeah, so the U.S. is actually going to cut tariffs on India to 18%, and that's going to be down from 25%. And the extra 25% punitive duty that was based on Russian imports for India has also been eliminated. So you are actually seeing India stocks or India-related stocks are moving aggressively to the upside this morning. A little bit of a surprise. We did have a trade deal inked with India, but I don't believe it actually went through the parliament process. And then we have seen some headlines over the last 2 weeks. So let's get a confirmation from India. But this is actually going to be a really good thing for not only the United States, but also for India, especially for the United States. Defense spending for India has been ramping up very aggressively. So you're looking at stocks like RTX, LMT, or Lockheed Martin for that matter, and looking at others within that space that actually could see some tailwinds here over the next couple of years. We also might see some agricultural impacts as well that could take place if this deal is going to be adhered to. So a decent little surprise. We did see, once again, international markets moving to the upside on this report. We did not see that much of a reaction on the U.S. front, though. So let's see. Once again, I think the market's probably waiting for a confirmation from India around these terms to make sure that these items are going to clear, and then also it's going to clear their legislative body.